On the central Alberta prairie near the town of Wetaskiwin lies a historic artifact, a treasure trove of history. Transportation and aviation, agricultural and industrial history, some of it older than the province of Alberta. The Reynolds-Alberta Museum was started by and named after Stan Reynolds, an avid aviator and car enthusiast from the Wetaskiwin area. After serving in the Second World War, Reynolds returned to his hometown and became enamored with all things mechanical. Today, the Reynolds-Alberta Museum is a project of Alberta Culture and Alberta Infrastructure. The museum currently has more than 5,000 artifacts in restored, conserved, or last used condition, and more than 100 major artifacts on display. The main exhibition gallery is designed for visitors to travel along a highway through time, starting with a horse-drawn carriage from 1916 to a 1950s drive-in. And here is where the museum gets up close and personal. The Fabulous 50s exhibit is a close personal look at the automobile culture of the 1950s. This decade was the beginning of style and design, where automobiles were engineered to be desired. Justin Cuffe explains that the automobile of the 1950s was built to be more than just an automobile.
Well, because the period was very influenced by aviation and a lot of the designs. I mean, our '59 Cadillac here is kind of the high end with the huge, largest tail fins on an automobile. Of course, if you look at the tail fins and you look at the jet aircraft of the period, you can kind of see similarities. The '53 Ford, of course, if you look at it, there's a lot of items on it that are actually very reminiscent of aviation. You've got a propeller that's in the center of the grille. You have intakes on the side, false intakes on the side that are kind of like jet intakes. And then the tail lights on them are like rockets sort of thing. So there's a lot of aviation influence in this period.
The Fabulous 50s exhibit is very relevant because the 1950s is very prevalent with museum visitors. The exhibit interpolates because of the nostalgia that many visitors are experiencing at this point in their life. One such visitor, Roger Robert, is from Ontario. He stopped in to enjoy the story that this show is telling him.
Yeah, 2 years ago we were here. Come through the museum and the fellows were working on the 55 Chevy that which they got on display this year. So no, they're all original. Everything I can see, they're pretty well all original. Like the 55 Chevy is, you can see that it's all original and it looks like it's all original parts and stuff like that, which is nice to see. Oh yeah, they look very familiar, like the 55 Chevy, Nomad and the Cadillacs and all that stuff. It's stuff that I grew up with and we've seen when we were kids, and that's all. We had rides in them and stuff like that, so it makes a big difference. It brings back memories.
The Fabulous 50s exhibit is also a good fit for the Reynolds Museum because it has contributions from all departments, not only from the programming and curatorial departments, but also from the restoration shop.
Part of our job is maintaining these historic assets. So every one we finish, now we've got a maintenance problem, because now we've elevated the condition to a point where it's operational. Now we want to maintain it in that operational status. Yeah, that was really exciting for us. We've had a 55 Nomad in here. We just finished it this last spring. It was one of the pivotal objects that had to be ready for the 50s show. It was kind of the impetus for the 50s show. So we finished the restoration, and then we cleaned up and detailed all our 50s cars, and we borrowed a few as well. Oh, they're never done. There's always, like this 61 Cadillac, it was finished 10 years ago, and then somebody scratched the door. so we got to redo that.
Darren Wiberg adds that rather than restoring the artifacts perfectly, the Reynolds Museum Restoration Shop attempts to replicate artifacts as they were manufactured. paying close attention to original imperfections?
Well, we've always, from the beginning of the museum's opening in '92, always been about museum quality restorations, especially in the aviation industry, especially during the war. It was get them out as fast as possible. And so, welds are not perfect and rivet lines are not perfect. And so you see this in cars as well, like body lines, especially in the spot welding. It's not a perfect straight line, it's kind of curved and crooked. So we try to replicate that. We also try to replicate all of the materials, including paints and the upholstery and everything as possible to back to original factory conditions as we can do it.
The Reynolds-Alberta Museum is also home of Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame honors individuals and organizations that have made outstanding contributions to aviation and aerospace in Canada. Visitors to the Hall of Fame can learn about and enjoy all things aviation in Canada. The latest addition, the 100th airplane of the collection, is a Conair Firecat. The Firecat is a Canadian plane that demonstrates how a machine that is originally designed for military use can be redesigned for civilian use. Stan Reynolds' nephew Byron helped with the acquisition of this plane, as he does with many others. Stan Reynolds passed away in 2012, but through the Reynolds-Alberta Museum, his legacy lives on. Because of him, generations can now enjoy an internationally recognized provincial treasure.